Well, our favorite fall holidays are just around the corner, but remember, your pets want in on all the fun as well. So what do you need to know to make sure you keep them safe? I chatted with Wellness Pet Company's global veterinarian, Dr. Danielle Bernal, to get some answers. Take a look. Well, Dr. Bernal, good morning. So nice to speak with you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
Of course. So we have a lot to talk about with the holidays right around the corner. Let's start with fall, if you don't mind. You know, pumpkin spice is everywhere. Humans love it. But what about pets? Is it good or bad for our pets?
Well, pumpkin spice is one of those moments where we all love to get into the cooler weather. And when it comes to adding in extra herbs and spices, this is where I actually encourage pet parents to put pause on that. However, there's lots of options they can do. Some steamed pumpkin, for example, is a great way to lean into those fall traditions, but it's also going to deliver great sources of vitamin A, vitamin E, potassium, and of course be low in calories. So a nice one to put on top of their meal and celebrate that fall season, but without giving them too much of those cinnamons or other spices that could irritate them or upset them.
Okay, great. So a little bit could have some big benefits if you do it the right way, like you just described.
Absolutely. Stick to that 1 to 2 tablespoons. And then, as I said, keep it on top of their really good nutrition. That's a perfect combination.
Okay, great tip. And what about, temperatures? They're starting to dip. What do we need to think about when it comes to keeping our pets warm this time of year?
Well, while we'll be putting on an extra coat, when it comes to our pets, they're growing theirs. So this is the time of the year where we need to make sure that they're getting plenty of high-quality nutrition that's rich in protein, because their total protein intake, 1/3 of it's needed to keep that coat nice and healthy. The other thing you want to make sure is check that your food has fish oils in there. That's going to keep the coat nice and shiny, and of course making sure that that skin is healthy as well. Now, talking of skin, the other thing is we all know as the weather cools, our skin starts to dry out. So a good tip here is also increase the hydration of your pet. Now, it might be tricky if you have a cat, for example, and leading them to water doesn't always mean they'll drink, but some good tips here is don't forget you can also feed more wet food. Just a 3-ounce can, for example, is 1/3 of a cat's daily hydration, and an easy way to boost their overall water intake to keep that skin nice and moisture. And then the last one is don't forget to get into a regular routine of brushing. That's going to keep the coat nice and healthy, and that in essence is what's going to keep them warm as that weather dips even further.
All right, we all need a great winter coat, right? Well, thank you. Good tips there. And of course, many of us love a walk this time of year in the fall season. Leaf piles are everywhere. They're very fun, of course, but they can also be dangerous. Let's talk a little bit about safety for our pets.
Yeah, absolutely. So things to watch out here is as the weather cools, we get a bit more moisture, we get those leaf piles. That's when we can start to get some growth, some toxic plants, and even some mushrooms. Now, some of those can be really harmful for pets. So if you think your dog is likely to scavenge through the woods, it might be time to look to a different walk option or pop them on that leash. The other thing to remember is this is also the peak time for fleas and ticks. They like it that little bit cooler. So make sure you're up to date with flea and tick control. And then, as I mentioned before, when you're doing those daily grooming routines, that's also a great time to check for them. And then the last tip here is as the days are getting shorter, don't forget you need to make sure that you're always visible when you're out walking, whether that's reflective leads or sticking to a well-lit path. But there's some good tips to keep you both safe while getting in those daily footsteps as well.
Okay, great. And with Halloween and Thanksgiving coming up, let's talk a little bit about food. Fun time of year, food's everywhere it seems. But what foods do we really have to keep away from our pets?
Yeah, and most pet parents are really good here. They know that the chocolates, the candies, all those sweet treats with extra xylitol in them can be really harmful to pets. But in some cases, you might not be aware that there's also other options out there that can be a concern. Even if you've got that Labrador who will go hell or high water to get through to that making, the candies, this is one thing to make sure you're not getting him access to any of those, because even the wrappers can cause health issues. So keep the candy bowls elevated. Even things like, cheese platters when friends are coming over, if they've got grapes and raisins, they can cause health concerns as well. So we want to make sure that we're always keeping them safe. The other thing to remember is if you're at home and you've got Halloween trick-or-treaters coming, it's also an easy time for dogs to escape out. So if you think your dog's going to be like that, make sure they've got their ID tags on, or even make sure that they're in a safe room so that they're going to be kept nice and calm and safe, and everyone can enjoy the festivities of Halloween.
Great. And any other good tips, Dr. Bernal, for the upcoming holiday season that you want to mention?
Yeah, my last one is, we want to include our pets into all the great activities. Thanksgiving especially is a season that's really about making sure it's family and it's food. So don't think you don't have to include your pet. I encourage pet parents, especially at Thanksgiving, to create a bowl for their pet, get them involved. Just choose things that are healthy, like sliced turkey breast meat, that's a great one. And then look for the sides that may not be the sweet and extra seasoned sides, but instead something like raw carrots, raw apple. They're great, even some steamed sweet potato or pumpkin, as we mentioned earlier. You can build a delicious, tasty bowl for your pet, and most importantly, keep them safe during these holiday seasons and part of the family activities. And that's, at the end of the day, what we all want for our pets.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bernal. You're full of great tips, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Take care, and stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back after this.